Hey guys, thank you for joining our workshop here, Does Your IT Suck? My name is Matt Clark. I'm the Director of Marketing for Protected Harbor. We are an IT company, and this is our CEO, Richard Luna.
Hi.
So Rich has 25 years experience in the industry.
More.
More than that, apparently. Worked for Netmatic, US News and World Report. People hate their IT right now. A current survey on Reddit, 85% of customers were unhappy with their IT companies. 48% of IT department heads say that their own department's maturity is low. Only 37% of small business owners trust their MSP to protect them from cyber attacks.
Why is that occurring?
It's occurring because the business model for the MSP, the managed service provider, is changing. They're becoming the managed sales provider, meaning they are reselling services more and more and not understanding what each individualized customer is doing.
Exactly. And there's this disconnect here because 92% of business owners say they have to improve their infrastructure to adapt to the changing world, to become more digital. But yet only 53% of business owners are willing to spend more money on IT. So there's this disconnect, and the question is why? 65% of all cloud network security issues are because of user errors. 80% of all data leaks and data hacks from the cloud are because of misconfigurations. That means the IT guy doesn't exactly know what he's doing when he sets it up. 34% of companies cannot find tech talent, but almost 64% of IT projects go over budget. Companies are fed up with their IT departments.
The common denominator in all of that is talent, meaning the number of people who actually understand the technology world is decreasing, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So what can a company do if you can't change the fact that it's hard to find technology staff? What you can change is the environment that they operate in.
So what are the issues? There's three main issues happening within IT right now, whether it's a break fix, a managed service provider, or an actual IT company. One, everyone's outsourcing, right? And it's been growing, but really when the pandemic hit, a lot of IT companies needed extra help. They outsourced. They found out it was cheaper and it stayed there. Two, the reseller model that Rich talked about. Now they can get paid by you, their client, and also Microsoft, or also Cisco, or also Dell. So they can make money on both sides. So now they resell the technology to you, even if it's not what you need. And three, sales versus tech staff. So as Richard talked about, moving from managed service providers to that managed sales provider, that reseller model, which means they need more admin, they need more salesmen, they need less tech.
The problem is so extreme that the call, when you put in a support ticket and you ask for help, and you get a call back or you get somebody on a chat session, that person who is responding is not an employee of the company that you signed up for. So every layer of the support mechanism has now been outsourced.
How do you protect yourself from bad IT? So there's five main things whenever you're speaking to an IT company, when you're looking for a new provider, there's five main topics you have to hit. One, outsourced support. How much is there? Two, are they resellers? And what technologies are they suggesting to you? Are they resellers of? Three, what kind of tech experts do they have? Four, are they able to do a custom design? And five, what's the accountability that they're willing to take?
So outsourced support is the very first one. Ask your provider, what level of outsourcing do you provide? Look for a vendor whose entire chain, from the person calling you back from a support request to the back-end engineer, are all employees. Why is that important? Because that gives you the ultimate level of accountability. It also tells you that that vendor has a built-in escalation process within their organization to resolve issues. Why is it important to know if the support company as a reseller? Because, as Matt said, are they recommending a solution that fits for their business model, or are they recommending a solution that will bring them better revenue? Look for a vendor who is authorized by companies but is not a representative. In other words, you need clarity on how they make their revenue. And what you're looking for is a company who's really focused on your interests, not on just their interests.
It also comes down to saving money, right? So how can we save you money on technology costs? And there's four main things. There's one, get away from the cloud. Two, find some way that there's flat rate pricing. If you have a break fix or an hourly guy, they have a reason to stay there longer, to charge you more. Three, check your subscriptions, and I feel like I should do this on my own Netflix and Hulu, right? But look at your subscriptions and see what software you're not really using. And four, there is no reason to buy brand new equipment. Technology is getting better and better, faster and faster. You can get the last model, not the newest one, and that will save you money and get the same functionality.
So Matt said a series of things that are really critical and important. Public cloud versus private cloud. When you're in the public cloud, you still have the same cloud issues. So if your equipment is running slow in your office and you move it to the cloud, now it's going to run slow and you're going to spend a lot, because when you're in the cloud, there's what's called inter-process communication costs. When you've got a desktop and a server in the cloud and you're paying for that communication, that just increases your bill. And we have seen customers that have moved to the cloud all of a sudden get really frustrated at a large bill that they weren't expecting. Why? Because they're not realizing that in the cloud world, you are renting space. That's what you're getting, is a rental. So that anytime you're using that rental, you're going to get an increase. But it's literally to the cloud as though your apartment rent that you had to pay every time you walked into the dining room or every time you walked into the bedroom. It's not just a flat rate for the entire apartment. You have to pay for each room usage.
56% of all IT infrastructure spending is going to the cloud this year.
If a business, if their major concern is they want their website always up, then the cloud can be a good process for that, if that's what they're looking for. If they're looking for the optimal, which means high uptime, high availability, good performance, then that's not a solution, and you want to look for a provider that gives that best medium. Usually that's what's called a private cloud provider, meaning they have their own infrastructure, so you have exported the hardware problem to them, but you're not paying for the inter-process communication costs. You're not paying for the miscellaneous charges. So you get the flat rate pricing, but you get the protections that you're looking for from a cloud.
So if it's not the cloud, what is it? What IT tech, what technology is going to help you grow your small business in 2022 and beyond? The first is the hybrid work technologies, right? So 79% of all organizations now have hybrid work from home, work in the office, right? I know people that just won't go back. I know a lot of companies that don't want people back because they're saving on New York office square footage space, right? By having some people work at home, some in the office, but there's a lot of technologies that go with that. And we don't like the public cloud, although it is an option, and we talk about the private cloud a little bit as well.
I hate this slide.
I know. He really hates this slide. So
because it's got VPN in it. And VPN is an old technology, and it had its day when you could trust the home computer connecting to an office. But now, a VPN, literally, what does it stand for? Virtual Private Network. It's a way of gluing your home computer to your office network. And what can pass over that VPN? Well, if that home computer is infected, it's going to come right over the wire and infect the corporate. There is no reason for a VPN to exist. What is a good replacement? RDP is a good replacement.
RDP is remote desktop protocol. So that's a remote desktop that we look at, right? When you sit down at your computer, you click, you open up an application. You're not using your your hard drive, your desktop, you're opening up another desktop, a virtual desktop.
Right. The real safety of something like an RDP, which is a completely different way to set up an office, is that the only thing passing over the wires is mouse and keyboard. So if you are connecting from a hotel machine and it's infected, that infection is not coming over the office. That's the problem with the VPN, is it's tying everything together. Can you filter a VPN? Sure. Do most people filter? No, because that again goes back to the expertise that are needed. So what you're trying to find is a vendor who will give you that best of breed, the intelligent way to look at an office and look at security without having to enforce every little nuance, because the tighter and the more acute you make the security, the harder it is to implement and to maintain.
Speaking of security, so digital security is next, right? This is the cyber attacks, this is ransomware, this is malware, this is phishing attacks. You need the right technology to back you up. It's the number one concern of small businesses. So we have a client, small company, couple people with us, left us to go to somebody else. I don't know if they were cheaper or not, but then he get hit with ransomware. Took all his data, $200,000 ransom to get his data back. Most small businesses, if they get hit with ransomware, they're going under. 60% of small businesses that get hit with ransomware go out of business within 2 years.
When you're picking your provider, there's a real important question to ask, which is, are the backups isolated? Meaning, are they electrically separated from where your data is running? Many prospects who've turned into customers have told us, oh, we're protected. Our backups are in the cloud, or our backups are in a remote office. They're on a remote office on a flat network because they're tied together over a VPN. And the main network gets compromised, and then that attack goes right over the VPN and compromises the backups.
So you're looking at multiple things. When you're looking at an IT company, what type of solutions do they have for you? And what can they, in this configuration of let's take a little bit from A, a little bit from B, a little bit from C to put together for a custom solution for you, they better have the skills in A, B, and C to do so. The third is artificial intelligence and automation. Now, I have a lot of small businesses that say, I'm way too small for AI. AI is as simple as a chatbot on your website that can do automated responses, that can do intelligent responses to the type of text query that they get. Automation is what type of CRM are you using? What do you use for social media marketing to automatically have replies and things go out?
So AI is really important when it comes to security, because anybody who has computers on premise these days, I look at as you're nuts, because no small business can afford to have AI models that are looking at firewall logs, that are looking at server entry points, and determining, is this attack a high priority or not a high priority? The best model is you outsource that level of protection to a third party. It just gives you that kind of durability. There's literally, we get attacked 100,000 times a minute, and yet they don't get through. But we have 4 layers of protection, everything from tying the firewall logs to the Windows logs to the Linux connection logs, all to form an umbrella of connection.
The next is integration and API, right? So this diagram you see, these are all the other programs that integrate with QuickBooks. That's just one software. And it goes back to the other slide about what new hybrid work technologies you need are a chat for your workers, you need a collaboration for your workers, you need storage for your workers. All of them have to work together. All the software has to work together, so now they create different APIs to integrate. 80% of businesses are using these APIs to integrate all these apps. If you have a CRM like HubSpot, in connection with everything, your Facebook, your Twitter, your email.
You just said it. They're connected everywhere.
Right.
So if you get an infection and it has one entry point and infects some data, then that attack goes across all of your data stores. The future This is going to be the source of the future of the next major attack. Development stacks, developers write applications using what's called a developer stack, which is a series of tools that are plugged in and tied together as a platform. Any one layer of that stack becomes compromised. Now every application made with that stack is compromised. That's not theoretical. That's what's happened. If you remember the StarWin attack of last year, StarWin is a tool that you can monitors your networks, monitors your systems, but it was also available as an open source that you could download. Well, the Russians downloaded it, replaced the module, rewriting the module. That module was accepted into the repository, and now anybody who downloaded and used that module after that moment was compromised, resulting in thousands of companies' data being compromised.
To get a little more in the weeds, I tell everyone use a scalable infrastructure model. I'm going to let him tell you what that means.
You have an app. An app is a series of files that are on a web page. Somebody goes on an iPhone and says, I want to go to that website. The web server grabs the files and opens it and sends it to the iPhone. And there you see the website. Great. What if that web server is infected, or what if that web server has a problem? Now, if the web server is compromised, now the compromised code's going over to your iPhone and is being now attacking your data on your iPhone. What's a better model? A better model is if you have a pool of servers that operate in uniform. If there's a problem with any one server, the web code transfers to another and boots up. That same process, we happen to use that same process internally. Other larger organizations can also use a cluster where you will have your office running, and if one computer goes down, the data that's on it is automatically transferred to another seamlessly. That gives you resiliency, that gives you redundancy, that gives you scalability, that gives you stability. That has to be designed from the ground up when you're building out the infrastructure, and that's a scalable infrastructure model.
This all comes back to your IT can't suck, right? And I know it's a little out there, but a lot of MSPs do not understand the scalable infrastructure model. A lot of IT companies...
No, because they're reselling.
Because they're reselling
Right.
another product.
Right.
So the question at the end of the day is, do you have a reseller, or do you have someone looking out for your best interests? We thank you guys. We are
Thank you
Protected
much.
Harbor. You can check us out, protectedharbor.com. We have the contact information. Also, we have another website, www.mymspsucks.com. Check us out. We got a lot of information for you, a few ebooks, white papers, really good blog posts on things like Microsoft and Google and the different clouds that we can help out with.
Thank you.